Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, our life and soul and our Savior. On behalf of ISKCON Niagara Falls, I would like to welcome all the devotees who have taken their precious times to come today and spend some time with the launch. My humble obeisances to each one of you. My most humble obeisances to His Holiness Bhakti Charu, Bhakti Marg Swami, and my Guru Maharaj Nityalila Pravishta Om, Srila Bhakti Charu Swami. And to the esteemed council members of this ISKCON Niagara Falls project, Vaishnav Das Prabhu, Rudradev Prabhu, Venkat Prabhu. And I also offer my humble obeisances to all the senior Vaishnavas, Srila Prabhupada disciples, and those who have dedicated many, many years of service to this glorious movement of Srila Prabhupada, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. The vision and mission for this movement is, for especially this ISKCON Niagara Falls, is to assist and enhance with the objective of serving Srila Prabhupada's mission, who is continuously fulfilling the desire and the predicament of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As Mahaprabhu had predicted about 500 years ago, Prithvi Aje Yata Nagaradi Gram Sarvatra Prachar Hoy Be Mor Naam. And Srila Prabhupada was instrumental in fulfilling the desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just like when we recite the Pranam Mantra of Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam, Sthapitam Jena Bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam, Dadati Swapadantikam. Rupa Goswami understood the inner core of the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam. The mana or the mind is in the core of the heart. Srila Prabhupada explains that. So within the core of the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whatever those desires were, Rupa Goswami established them. And we pray, when will we get the shelter of his lotus feet? Similarly, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada fulfilled the inner core of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart's desire of establishing in every town and village Bhagavad Vani, the holy name. Before I go into today's main topic, it would be a little bit, I would say, contempt on my part if I do not kind of reiterate the wonderful 7 purposes of ISKCON, of a movement that Srila Prabhupada has built on, systematically propagating spiritual knowledge, not something haphazard, based on Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and the higher books of studies like Chaitanya Charitamrita, and the books and literatures of the Goswamis, and to educate all people in the techniques of spiritual life. In today's world, especially those who call themselves Hindus, actually Hindus is a word, the word Hindu is a misnomer. We have discussed that in our Bhaktivedanta Bhagavad classes. It is the English calling the settlement across the Indus River Hindus, and then it became Hindus. We are Sanatan Dharmis, eternal religion, propounded on the teachings of the Vedas, and especially Srimad Bhagavatam. The Vaishnavas follow those principles. And if we really look at it, like Vaishnav Das Prabhu mentioned, globally, what is happening? It is really a shame that even those who are born in Sanatan Dharma, if you stop them on the street in India or anywhere else in a mall in the United States or in Canada, and you ask them, can you tell me how many verses are there in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam? Or can you tell us a little bit about Lord Krishna? And why are you a Sanatan Dharmi or Hindu? I hate to use that word. Oh, I don't know, because I was born Hindu. So this is our position. So Srila Prabhupada created this ISKCON movement to systematically educate all people in the techniques of spiritual life. And there is no movement as glorious as ISKCON. I am proud to say that, because not I'm a part of ISKCON, because I have practically from our childhood, we have been born in Vaishnava family, in the Pushti Marg Sampradaya. And there is no preaching. Krishna is the Lord. My grandmother was the ardent worshipper of Krishna, but I never understood why is the Supreme Lord. My neighbor worshipped Hanumanji, and then there were several people in my building who worshipped Ganeshji, and then there are so many festivals in India, and that really confused me. There was no systematic preaching until I came across His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada's books. And this is about 31 years ago when I joined this glorious movement in Chicago. So systematic education and the techniques of spiritual life is one of the purposes of ISKCON. And right now, all over the world, the ISKCON movement is growing so nicely with so many temples, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted, in every town and village. And there are so many preaching centers and bhakti vrikshas or home programs that propagate the message, the pure message, with the systematic way that Srila Prabhupada taught. And also, Srila Prabhupada's mission was to propagate Krishna consciousness as revealed, especially in these two books, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And why is that? If we really think about it deeply, Bhagavad Gita tells us that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it is like when you know the opulence of a particular entity, one gets attracted, because that is so natural in this material world. We are always attracted to some kind of opulence, whether it is name, fame, beauty, money, knowledge, etc. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita educates not only about the basics of the spirit science of spirituality, the soul, etc. Of course, it deals with the five major subject matters that we all know. It is time, it is karma, paramatma, atma, and prakriti. So these are the five subject matters, which is the fundamentals of spiritual life. No matter what path one wants to follow in Vaishnavism, Bhagavad Gita is going to be the fundamental pillar. So Srila Prabhupada always, mainly, he spoke from Bhagavad Gita, educating everybody. And Prabhupada used to stress, just try to understand what Krishna is saying. He used to educate everyone saying, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, which is the Supreme Personality of God, as Sri Krishna spoke. That would actually kill all the different ideas of Mayavads and Brahmavads and different philosophies that were against Mahaprabhu's teachings and against the teachings of Rupa Goswami. Srila Prabhupada's Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in his Pranam Mantra, in the end it says, Rupa Anuga Viruddha Apasiddhanta Dvanta Harine. Those who actually opposed the line of Rupanuga or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's line, anybody who opposed that, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was also very dearly known as the Simha Guru, the Lion Guru, would cut to pieces all those arguments and philosophies. And Srila Prabhupada followed in his footsteps, and he established this ISKCON movement to reveal the Krishna consciousness through Bhagavad Gita, and then as we advance, Srimad Bhagavatam. In the Bhakti Vedanta Bhagavad group, for the last 13 Sundays, we have been discussing verse number 1 and 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Very, very deep by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga. And in the very first verse itself, of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 6 darshans that we get. Obviously, I don't have the time to go into it, but if anybody has any questions later on, I can address that. But the most important part of Srimad Bhagavatam is establishing the Krishna that the Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas worship. The Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas worship Aradhyo Krishna, Aradhyo Bhagwan of Rajesh Tanayas. There are so many different avatars of Krishna, and there are many types of Krishna also. This is amazing. If you read the purport of Srila Prabhupada's bhajan, when he sang that, Bhajahu Remana Sri Nanda Nandana Abhay Charanarvindare, in the songbook, many years ago, I had read Srila Prabhupada, there was one purport that, oh my mind, please worship the son of Nanda Maharaj. So Prabhupada says, we are only concerned with the son of Nanda Maharaj. There are many types of Krishna. So there is Vasudeva Krishna, who appeared in the jail of the Kamsa, where Devaki and Vasudeva were held in hostage by Kansa. And the personality that appeared in the jail of Kansa is Vasudeva Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. But Nandanandan Krishna, he appeared in Gokul. Twins appeared to Yashoda Mai. Rupa Goswami has mentioned this in the Bhagavad Amrita Nectar. Sukadana Goswami has also mentioned that. Jiva Goswami has mentioned it in Vishwanath Chakravarti's commentaries. This Guhya, or this very special information, secret information, has been mentioned. Also, the Harivamsha has mentioned this particular, that Yashoda mother gave birth to 2. Her own son, Sri Krishna, known as Nandanandan or Yashoda Nandan, that we Bhakti Vinod Thakur, we sing from Gitavali, Jai Radha Madhav, Kunja Bihari, Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana, that Yashoda Nandan is actually, he was born of Yashoda Mata's womb along with Yogamaya. And when Vasudev came to Gokul, Yogamaya covered him, and in the dark, he kept Nandanandan Krishna covered. Yogamaya, she kept Nandanandan Krishna covered, and thinking that Yashoda gave birth to only one baby girl, he replaced that baby girl with Vasudeva Krishna. This is a very, very important information that I would like to share, because we are all Gaudiya Vaishnavas, and we have to know what Gaudiya Vaishnavism is. And this is what Srimad Bhagavatam, the secret purports, and that is what Srila Prabhupada wanted us to graduate from Bhagavad Gita, from Vasudeva Krishna to Nandanandan Krishna, through study of Srimad Bhagavatam, and further on into Chaitanya Charitamrita, that glorifies the gopis of Vrindavan, that glorifies the topmost gopi, Srimati Radharani. And that is the purpose of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's coming here, Krishna's coming. He took the bhav of Radharani. That was the internal reason. The external reason, of course, we all know. Ajanu lambita bhujo kanakayo dhato sankirtanai pitaro kamalayo taksho vishwambaro dijavaro yuga dharma paro vande jagata priyakaro karuna avtaro. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur opens with the Mangalacharan with this particular shloka. He's saying that those 2 brothers, personalities with long hands, Ajanu lambita bhujo, extending to their knees, who had beautiful complexion, golden complexion, and beautiful lotus-like eyes. Sankirtanai Pitaro, they are the founders or the fathers of the Sankirtan movement. And they are Vishwambharo. They are actually the caretakers of the whole world. They are the providers, Vishwambhara. Dvijavaro, and they appear to the best of the Brahmins. And Nilambar Chakravarti and Jagannath Pandit, they appeared. They were 2 topmost Brahmanas, Dvijavaro, and they also were perfect Brahmanas, the head of the Brahmanas, Yuga Dharma Palo, and they propagated the Yuga Dharma of Sankirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This Yuga Dharma is basically is Mahaprabhu's external mood leading to the internal mood of Chaitanya Charitamrita, which was especially enacted in the last 12 years in Jagannath Puri in the Gambhira. However, that is the reason why Srila Prabhupada stressed on this, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also stressed that Aradhyo Bhagwan Vrajeshwatanayas. If you want to worship somebody, then please worship that only Krishna, who is the son of Nanda Maharaj. Vrajesh, the king of Vrindavan is Vrajesh, meaning Nanda Maharaj. Tanaya means the son. Aradhyo Bhagwan Vrajeshwatanayas. And if you want to worship amongst all the dhams, Tat Dham Vrindavanam, please worship Vrindavan Dham. And Ramya Kachid Upasna Vrajavadu Vargena Tayakalpita. If you want to follow in the footsteps of somebody for perfect worship, follow in the footsteps of the Vrajavadu Varga, meaning the gopis. Vrajavadu means the gopis of Vrindavan. That is the bhav of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And if you want to study any book, then Srimad Bhagavatam, Purana Amalam, Prema Pumartho Mahan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Mataidam, Na Yatra Agraha Paraha. This is the opinion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is no need for any other need for me to go into any other scriptures, because Srimad Bhagavatam has everything in it, from the philosophy to the highest rasa. And it is the opinion of Chaitanya. Srimad Bhagavatam, this Srimad Bhagavatam is Purana Amalam. There are many Puranas, but this is the Amal. Mal means something that has a spot or a dirt, and Amal means spotless Puran. So this is the purpose of ISKCON, and that is why Srila Prabhupada, and he wanted to bring all the members of the society together with each other to be nearer to Krishna. Very, very important point. And nowadays, sometimes we have this very subtle groupism, and that is not the recommended way. Sometimes some of us, our god brother, our god sisters group. No, we are, as a matter of fact, those who have studied that bhajan that we are singing continuously so many times in ISKCON, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Daya Karo More, Tuma Vina Ke Dayalu, Jagata Samsare. At the end, Narottam Das Thakur mentions that Daya Karo Sri Acharya Prabhu Sri Nivas Ramachandra Sangamange Narottam Das. Narottam Das Thakur is asking for association of Srivas Acharya. He was one of the students under Jiva Goswami. He was not even initiated by the same guru, because Narottam Das Thakur was initiated by Loknath Goswami, and Srinivas Acharya was initiated by I think it was Gadadhar Pandit. He was initiated by that. Yes, actually, he is the disciple of Gadadhar Pandit. But they were instructed along with Krishnadas or Shamanand Pandit to go to Vrindavan and study the scriptures under Jiva Goswami, under the Siksha Guru, and in Seva Kunj. Today, where the Radha Damodar temple, Ghera is, that is the Seva Kunja, the area. And that's where Jiva Goswami taught the higher esoterics, and not only Tattva, but what he had learned from Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. So the gurus gave them permission to go to Jiva Goswami. And then at the time that the separation song, he remembers that, oh, this was my Siksha brother under Jiva Goswami, not even initiated by the same guru. Daya karo, please have mercy on me. Just see the humility, just see the bhav. And that is the same. And then he's also asking Ramachandra Sangamange Narottam Das. This Ramachandra is not Lord Ramachandra, the husband of Sita Devi. No, this Ramachandra is Ramachandra Kaviraj. He was a disciple of Narottam Das Thakur's, and actually Ganganarayan Chakravarti. And Ganganarayan Chakravarti's disciple is Ramachandra Kaviraj. So he was like the second generation. How much love we had for the second generation that he was even saying Ramachandra. When Ramachandra Thakur Kaviraj disappeared, actually Narottam Das Thakur composed this song, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More. So it is actually, the song is dedicated to Ramchandra Kaviraj. So what is the lesson for all of us? All of us are in this glorious movement of Srila Prabhupada, and one of the 7 purposes of Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON movement is that we have to encourage each other to bring all the members of the society together with each other and nearer to Krishna. We have to understand this one very important principle that um, one Acharya has mentioned this, I had heard this, that who is a guru? One very simple question. And he answered this in the most simplest way. And I've taken this to my heart and I'm sharing this with you. He answered this in one line: whoever brings you closer to Krishna is guru. Whoever brings you closer to Krishna is guru. So we have so many types of gurus. It can be our parents from birth. It can be that Vaishnava who introduced us, the Pada Prakshalan Guru who introduced us to Krishna consciousness. It can be whom we are deriving siksha from. It could be the initiating spiritual master who also gives us siksha. So this is our mood. And there are many, actually speaking, in our sampradaya, uh, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Gurudev, if we see on the altar, he was not initiated by Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj in the Harinam Mahamantra. No, nor with the Brahma Gayatri. No, he was a Siksha Guru. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was not initiated by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But we consider the importance of Siksha because he used to hear Srimad Bhagavatam in Navadvip from Bhaktivinoda Thakurji. He had surrendered to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur he considered himself as a Siksha Guru. So this is a very, very important point. Through Srila Prabhupada's 7 purposes of the ISKCON movement, it says to bring the members of the society together with each other and nearer to Krishna. See, this is our goal, not to drive people away from Krishna, but to bring them nearer to Krishna, and thus develop the idea within the members of this society and for humanity at large that each soul is a part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of God. Srila Prabhupada is a Mahabhagavat, one who speaks scripture and one who actually behaves as per scripture is known as Bhagavat. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said, Bhagavat Shuno Bhagavat Sthane. One should hear Bhagavat from a Bhagavat, one who practices the teachings of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavad Gita. And Srila Prabhupada used to speak on this verse, Mamayamsha Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that every jiva is my part and parcel. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the 7 purposes of ISKCON that for all humanity at large, because everybody is a part and parcel of Sri Krishna, Mamai Ansha, Krishna says. And then Srila Prabhupada's purpose was also to teach and encourage the Sankirtan movement that was so dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is through congregational chanting of the holy names we will be able to enter into the internal mood from sadhana bhakti to raganuga bhakti. And that's how we will make our Srila Prabhupada very proud. And to reveal the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the purpose of the pure teachings in the bhav of Vraj, in the bhav of Radharani and the Vrajvasis and the Gopis. What pure bhakti is, what pure devotional service is, that is what Prabhupada's mission is. And he also wanted to erect for the members of the society, for the people, a holy place of transcendental pastimes. Very, very important. And this is one of the purposes of this today's launch, ISKCON Niagara Falls. Eventually, because of COVID, we are unable to actually have a physical location where we can congregate and we can be safe. So on this first day of Kartik, the council members and with the blessings of His Holiness Bhakti Mark Swami, we launched ISKCON Niagara Falls. And we continue to ask for your support and blessings so that we can all grow together in Srila Prabhupada's mission. So a holy place for transcendental pastimes dedicated to the personality of Godhead. So every temple of ISKCON is Vaikuntha. It is Golok Vrindavan. We have to understand. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Jai Dine Grihe Bhajan Dekhi Grihe Te Golok Bhaya. Wherever there is bhajan, there is Sankirtan, that place becomes Golok Vrindavan. So, and then the other purpose was to bring the members closer together for the purpose of teaching a simple and a more natural way of life. Srila Prabhupada wanted that, like the communities, farm communities, New Vrindavan, etc. And that is one of the visions of the ISKCON Niagara Falls, that hopefully my dear Krishna, if you so desire, my dear Srila Prabhupada, if you so desire, we can have this vision of Srila Prabhupada completed, by establishing a wonderful temple with, like as Vaishnav Das Prabhu and Rudra Prabhu mentioned, because it's an international location. It's on the border, and millions of tourists come. It is one of the seventh wonders of the world, Niagara Falls. And for people like us, sometimes even when we take our friends and family to Niagara Falls, it is very hard for us to find a good, pure vegetarian place to take a snack or a lunch or a dinner. So this would be very perfect, if we can eventually open up a nice ISKCON center with a beautiful Govindas. Like there's so many wonderful Govindas restaurants all over the world that are actually spreading Srila Prabhupada's mercy and Mahaprabhu's mercy through prasadam, and a place for accommodation and a place of worship and other different wonderful sattvic activities that will eventually help in elevating the consciousness of all. And then, last but not the least, obviously, Srila Prabhupada's mission was towards achieving those aforementioned purposes and to publish and distribute books, Krishna conscious books, and writings of pure bhakti based in the line of Rupa Goswami and based on the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that is the purpose of ISKCON. I'm sure there's a lot of guests who are not familiar with ISKCON, so I thought I would touch on it. And obviously, those who are involved with ISKCON, some new, and for some for many, many years, I guess this will be something that we should need to hear again and again so that we can realize Srila Prabhupada's real mission that is there. Now, also, this is the month of Kartik. So a happy Kartik to all of you. May it bring lots of bliss and spiritual and for your spiritual lives and for progress in your spiritual life. So very briefly, I will touch on some of the important Mahatmya or the importance of Kartik. Aren't we all looking for advancement, whether it is a materialist or maybe one is a practicing spiritualist? We're all looking for advancement. And definitely devotees are looking for spiritual advancement. So this Damodar Vrat, or the month of Damodar, is the most important Vrat for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. It has become famous by the name of Damodar month because, as you all know, Dam means a rope and Udar means stomach. And Mother Yashoda tied up Krishna because of his naughtiness to a grinding mortar, and because his belly was tied, he's known as Damodar. Also, there are other deeper meanings of the word Damodar, which, as we are going to, as Asimkar Prabhu had mentioned, we are dedicating this entire month on behalf of ISKCON, Niagara Falls, and Bhaktivedanta Bhagavad Group, the month of Kartik, narrating the sweet pastimes of Lord Damodar based on the teachings of Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Srila Prabhupada, and with the Gaudiya Ras and Bhav. We're going to dive deep into it. Every time every Kartik, every day, and some of the devotees sing Damodar Ashtakam twice a day. And we read the translation. And that's wonderful, the translation that we have in the Vaishnava songbook, etc. But about 6 or 7 years ago, when I got the opportunity to dive deep into this, and my hair stood on an end when I understood and when I tried to dive deep into the Katha and the different aspects of the Damodar Ashtakam as explained by the 6 Goswamis, especially Jiva Goswami and Sanatan Goswami and Gopal Bhatta Goswami in their books Gopala Champu and the Digdarshini of the Hari Bhakti Vilas. So what I plan to do is wherever I finish, maybe I will be able to just start a little bit of the Damodar Leela today, and it will continue for the next 3 Sundays. So those who are interested to dive deep into and try to understand, because every word of Damodar Ashtakam has a lot of rasa, a nectar in it, besides what we read as the translation. And by the grace of Guru Gauranga, for the last 3 years in Kartik, when I've been going to Sri Vrindavan Dham, the ISKCON Balram Mandir, Krishna Balram Mandir, they have invited me and they give me about 3 days to conduct this Damodar Ashtakam Leela and to explain the Damodar Ashtakam. And by the grace of Guru Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada and all the senior Vaishnavas, Srila Prabhupada disciples, it has been very well received. And I'm hoping that today's Katha, when I started after the Kartik Mahatmya, I hope it is very pleasing to all the Vaishnavas assembled, and perhaps it will enlighten each one of us. And next time we sing Damodara Ashtakam, it will bring us immense joy and enlightenment. And in a prayerful mood, we will understand what this Damodara Ashtakam is all about. So that is the reason. So Satyavrat Muni has eternally perfected this Damodara Ashtakam and is a part of the Padma Puran. He is the compiler of this Damodara Ashtakam that we sing. And this was recorded by Vyasdev, Ved Vyas. And therefore, all our acharyas, especially in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, have prescribed this singing it every day during the month of Kartik. And if we are serious about pleasing Kartiki, who is Kartiki? Srimati Radharani. Very important. She is the presiding goddess of this month. It is the month of Damodar, but she is the presiding goddess of the month. And this is given in the shlokas of Hari Bhakti Vilas. In the Skanda Puran, Lord Brahma and sage Narad Muni discuss about the glories of the month of Kartik, how dear it is to Radharani, how dear it is to Sri Krishna. It is dear to Sri Krishna because it is dear to Radharani. Anything dear to Radharani is dear to Sri Krishna. So if one offers a lamp during this month of Kartik, a ghee lamp, his sins of thousands and millions of births from Anadikal, since time immemorial, will perish in half an eye blink. It is called half an eye blink in Sanskrit. It is called Nimesh. Nimeshardhakyo va vrajati na yatrapi samayah bhaje shweta deepam tamaham iha golokamitiyam vidantaste santa shitivirada charah katipaye. Brahma Samhita, verse number 56. It's half the verse that I've mentioned, but this word Nimesh occurs. Nimesh means the blinking of an eye. And Nimesh Ardhakyo. Ardhakyo means half. So here Naradji and Brahmaji are saying that within a half a blink of an eye, all the sinful reactions will be nullified, and they will vanish if we offer a ghee lamp during the month of Kartik to the deity of Damodar. Even if there is no mantras, we don't know, or no pious deeds, and no purity, it doesn't matter. Everything becomes perfect when one offers a lamp during the month of Kartik. So my humble request to all the devotees, of course, you all must be doing it, no doubt, but encourage others also. Encourage your family members, encourage your friends. It doesn't matter from what walks of life they are. Simply, and if they don't have a picture of Yashoda Damar, please gift them. This is one of the best gifts that you all can give. Send them something online. Tell them you can just open up the JPEG image and offer a ghee lamp. It takes 2 minutes, and nowadays everything is available, including the words of the Damodara Ashtakam compiled by Satyavrat Muni. So a person during this month of Kartik, when we offer a lamp to Keshav or Krishna, has already performed all kinds of yagyas. That in Srimad Bhagavatam, that verse is there. Vasudeva Paraveda, Vasudeva Param Makaha, Vasudeva Param Jnanam, Vasudeva Param Tapa, etc. So Vasudeva Param Makaha. Makaha means yagya. So the goal is Vasudev. So when one offers one deep, it is as good as performing all kinds of yagyas, sacrifices for the pleasure of Lord Krishna. Everything that we do, it should be for the pleasure of Krishna. And that's what Srimad Bhagavatam. And also, as if we have bathed in all the 7 holy rivers. The ancestors also have taught us this, that if one pleases Lord Damodar Keshav by offering a ghee lamp during the month of Kartik, then by the mercy of Radharani and Damodar, whoever holds, and Krishna holds the Sudarshan Chakra in his hand, he will always attain liberation. So just like Prahlad Maharaj, he not only himself got liberated eventually by Nrsimhadev Bhagavan, but generations in the past and present. Similarly, if we love our family members, our friends, then we should not fail to offer a ghee lamp during the Damodar month, because it will benefit everyone that we care for. That's what the elders say based on the teachings of the Shastra. And to one who either at home or in a temple offers a lamp during the month of Kartik, Lord Krishna gives them a wonderful spiritual result. A person who offers lamp to Lord Krishna during the month of Damodar or Kartik becomes very glorious and fortunate. What does that glory mean and fortunate mean? Not money. If we go into the, yes, you can get wealth also. Worshipping Krishna, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Arti, Artharti, Jnani, and Jigyasu. 4 kinds of people come to me, and Krishna grants them those wishes. But based on our teachings of our acharyas, that fortune is obtaining the service, pure devotional service in the line of Rupanuga. That is our fortune. Like Bhakti Siddhant Prabhupada's favorite bhajan was Narottam Das Thakur's composition, Shri Rupa Manjari Pada Shai Mora Sampada Shai Mora Bhajana Pujana Shai Mora Bhajana Pujana. If you examine that bhajan, he has taken that is the fortune, the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami. And one who attains the lotus feet of our acharyas attains the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna in Golok, in the pastimes of Sri Vrindavan, in their intimate pastimes. So, and no sins exist anywhere in these 3 worlds, in this Tribhuvan, that will not be purified by offering a ghee lamp to Keshav or Damodar during the month of Kartik. A person who offers a lamp to Lord Damodar during this Kartik month attains the eternal spiritual world where there is no suffering, Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha means, Vai means no, and Kuntha means anxiety, where there is no birth, death, old age, and disease. There is no Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. That land is known as Vaikuntha. Kuntha means anxiety, Vai means no. And of course, Golok Vrindavan being the topmost planet in Vaikuntha Dham. In Haribhakti Vilas, Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad and Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami, those Haribhakti Vilas is considered as the Smriti Shastra or the law book of the Vaishnavas. And they have outlined the devotional activities that have to be observed during the month of Kartik. It is very much, there's a lot of elaboration in it. And he points out there is an injunction in the Haribhakti Vilas that daily worship Sri Radha Damodar and recite the stotra or the prayer Sri Damodar Ashtakam. Radhika pratimam vipraha pujayet kartiketuva tasva tushyati tat priyay Shriman Damodara Hari itihi. This is a verse from Hari Bhakti Vilas that Sanatana Goswami Pad wrote. He said, O Brahmins, Vipraha, during the month of Kartik, one should worship the deity of Sri Radha. And to please Radha Damodar, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he will be pleased with that worship. So Damodar Ashtakam has got many hidden glories. Actually, if we go deep into it, and if the devotees decide to continue on and for the next 3 sessions, we will see how Damodar Ashtakam actually glorifies Srimati Radharani, who is known as the Kartiki, and also known as, she is also known as Urjeshwari. This month is known as the month of Urja. The word Urja in Sanskrit means there are many different words, powerful, effulgent, etc. And Srimati Radharani is extremely powerful, and we all know that. Also, there is one very important verse in the Hari Bhakti Vilas that I would like to quote is Damodar Ashtakam Nama Stotram Damodara Archanam Nityam Damodar Karasi Pathet Satya Vrato Iditam. One should regularly recite this prayer called Damodar Ashtak, which was spoken by Satyavrata, which attracts Lord Damodar and which describes the worship of Lord Damodar. And Lord Damodar is not only the little Damodar that Mother Yashoda typed. And as we dive deep into the Ashtakam, these things will be revealed based on the glories that have been projected by Jiva Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. We pray to Radharani every day. Tatta Kanchana, Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. She's Vrindavaneshwari. Vrindavan is under her control. She is Hari Priye. So this month is to please her. She is also known as Madana Mohana Mohini. Everybody is looking for Krishna. Even an atheist is looking for Krishna in the extension of Krishna's energy through Maya, in the form of wealth, name, fame, etc. So they are also indirectly looking for Krishna. Devotees are looking for Krishna. They're always trying to seek Krishna, either in one of his forms or avatars, or in his form as Vasudev Krishna or Nandanandan Krishna. But who is Radharani? Who is Krishna always looking for? Who is always Krishna seeking? He is always seeking. Madan Mohan is seeking Radharani. Madan Mohan means, we all know that Madan means Kamdev, Kandarpa, Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Visesha Shobham, Govinda Mahadi Purusham, Tamaham Bhajami. Kam is Madan. One of the names of the Cupid is known as Madan. And Krishna's beauty is so beautiful that he even enchants Kamdev. Navanirada Nindita Kanti Dharam Raso Sagar Nagar Bhupavam Shubhavam Kimacharu Shikhanda Shikhim Bhaja Krishna Nidhim Vrajaraja Sutam. He is the ocean and the nectar and the source of all rasas. And he even puts to shame a newly formed, freshly formed cloud. He puts to shame the beauty of Cupid. That is why he's known as Madana Mohan. Madan means Cupid. Mohan means to put Cupid into enchantment, to enchant. Mohan means to enchant. So he enchants Cupid. And who enchants Madan Mohan? Radharani. Madana Mohana Mohini. Therefore, one of the names of Radharani is Madana Mohana Mohini. This is Sri Radha's month. Rupa Goswami also has composed that famous bhajan that everybody knows. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Madhava Daite. What does that mean? Daite means one who's very dear to Madhav. And that is Radharani. Radhe, all glories to you. All glories to you. Who is so dear to Krishna or Madhav? The goal of Gaudiya Vaishnavas is Radha Dasyam, eventually. Right now, because we are in the sadhana bhakti, we will not realize that. Once we do our sadhana bhakti perfectly, Srila Prabhupada will open up the doors to Raganuga Bhakti. We sing this every day in Guru Puja. Chakshudana dilo jai, janme janme prabhu sei, divya gran hriday prakashito, prema bhakti jaha hoite, avidya vinasha jade, vede gai jahara charito. Chakshudana dilo jai, janme janme savura, no matter where we are. Once we perform our sadhana bhakti perfectly, Srila Prabhupada and our Gaudiya Acharyas, headed by Rupa Goswami, will bless us through Chaitanya Guru and through senior Vaishnavas who are Rasik Vaishnavas, and will open the doors to Raganuga Bhakti in the footsteps of the Vrajvasis. And that is actually the goal of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Raghunath Das Goswami has given his wonderful treatise known as the Manasiksha. Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Gopala Bhatta Goswami, and all these acharyas have given wonderful, but first we have to understand our position that we are all in Maya and we have to do sadhana. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Very important. Good chanting. Prabhupada has said minimum 16 rounds. No, he said minimum 16 good rounds. He said. So that helps us to do our bhajana kriya, and that will eventually eradicate our anartha nivritti, and then we will actually enter into the different forms of bhakti that will be nishtha, ruchi, asakti, bhav, Krishna prem, and even within Krishna prem there are different delineations. If we ask anybody in our glorious movement, what is the goal? He says Krishna prem. Yes, but Krishna prem is not cheap. We have to do the perfect sadhana based on the teachings of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and then He will open the doors. Just like a loving father He does not reveal everything to a child who is in the 5th grade or perhaps in the 10th grade about the intricacies of the business. I'm using a very material examples to make the point across. But when the child is ready, he is graduated and he has come to the level of understanding business, then he says, my dear son, join me in the office and I will explain you all the details of the business. Who is our best customer? How we talk with him, how we relate to them, how we relate with all these employees, and etc. And here are the bank accounts. We have this money where we write checks for accounts payable, and then such and such an account is used for buying material, etc. So he is given the keys to the safe. He's given the keys and the password to the bank accounts. So that is what we should aspire for. Our successes when we can please Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas by graduating with a steady pace. Because this Krishna conscious movement is Ananda Ambudi Vardhanam. Radharani, the month of Urjeshwari of this Kartik is dedicated to her. It is her month. And what more can I say than one beautiful verse from Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad's Radha Rasa Sudhanidhi. Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad lived in Sri Vrindavan Dham and he composed wonderful books. The most two prominent books that I can immediately think of is Vrindavan Mahima Amrit and Radha Rasa Sudhanidhi. And in that he has mentioned, Yasya Kadapi Vasananchala Khelanutha Dhanyati Dhanya Pavanena Krutharthamani Yogindra Durgama Gatir Madhusudanoyapi Tasya Namo Astu Vrishabhanu Bhuvo Dishayapi. When I read this shloka, I was flabbergasted. This is the position of Sri Radha. He says, Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad, he says, I offer dandavats, obeisances to the direction that faces Vrishabhanu's daughter, Radharani. And when the breeze is coming from that direction and it playfully moves the edge of her garment, Radharani's garment, it playfully moves in the breeze. Lord Krishna, who cannot be attained even by the kings and the yogis. We address shloka, Pantastu Koti Satvara Sampragamyo Vayo Rathapi Muni Tungavanam Sopi Asti Yat Prapadasimni Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajavi. Even by drilling the respiration by millions of years and doing pranayam, one cannot attain the lotus feet of Krishna. Not even the effulgence that emanates from the nail or toe of Krishna. So here, Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad is saying that Krishna thinks his life is successful just when that breeze that is touching the veil of Radharani, when it blows and it touches him, Krishna feels, my life is successful. Yeah, and this is the position of Sri Radha. And this is what we have to understand, that if we please Radharani by performing all these wonderful activities in Kartik, automatically Damodar will be pleased. So this Damodar Ashtakam, it teaches a lot of things. Entering into, because I have to build a sort of a stage. And if the fundamentals are nice, then we will be able to understand and relish Damodar Ashtakam and this Damodar Dam Bandhan Leela, as Jiva Goswami calls it in his Gopal Champu. We will be relishing it very nicely. So what does Damodar Ashtakam teach? So Damodar Ashtakam teaches in a very subtle way Ananda Ambudi Vardhan that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached in the Srishtastakam. Prabhupada continuously said, Krishna consciousness is dynamic. It is not static. If the moment it becomes static, then there is something wrong with our sadhana. That means either we are not chanting properly, or we are not respecting the Vaishnavas, or we are committing offenses. Then maybe it will even go in a reverse gear. But Krishna consciousness, every moment we should feel that Ananda. What even Krishna mentions that in the Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Bhusa Prasanna Atma. One who is situated in Krishna consciousness is always very happy. So Damodar Ashtakam also teaches us the famous verse of Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Parityajya, Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. And as we dive deeper, I will elaborate on these points and highlight them based on the teachings of the Acharyas. It teaches us the glories of Sankirtan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood. It teaches us that Damodara Ashtakam. It teaches us the Gaudiya Acharyas like Srila Prabhupada, how Sankirtan should be done and in what mood. That is what is all, it is in a very secret way imbibed in the Damodara Ashtakam. It teaches us about the relationships with Krishna, what one can have. And in the Bhagavatam, third canto, I think chapter 31, Kapil Dev and Mother Devuti, there is a verse, Karmana Daiva Netrena Dehu Jantu Papate Purusha Retu Kanashraya Striya Pravishta Udaram. In this material world, the jivas take birth under the supervision of the Supreme Lord, and different yonis or different the 8,400,000 species of life based on their past karma. And then we have different relationships in this material world. But in the spiritual world, there are Siddha Swarupas or the Kaya views of Radharani and the Siddha Jivas where they have a relationship with Sri Krishna. And there are different relationships that one can worship Krishna. And all these relationships, they emanate from Sri Krishna Nandan Nandan. The very first acronym of the Vedanta Sutra. What is that acronym? Janmadi Asya, just these two words. What does that mean? Janam means creation. Adi means the sustenance and eventually the annihilation. Yasya, Asya, due to you, O Nandan Nandan Krishna, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead in Golok Vrindavan. The very first two words in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Mangalacharan, Janmadi Asya Yatovan Vayat Itaratascha Artheshwa Abhigyaswarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Mohyanti Yat Surya Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trusargo Amrusha Damna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. That's Satyam Param Dhimahi that Vedvyas has revealed, that Sukadeva Goswami has revealed, who is none other than the actual parrot of Radharani, who is a constant companion and associate of her, has revealed the inner meanings of the word Satyam Param Dhimahi, who is none other than Nandan Nandan Yashoda Nandan, born of Yashodama. And he is addressed in the beginning, Janmadi Asya. Janam Adi Asya. Please understand this. Everything, all the relationships, the creations, spiritual worlds, material worlds, everything emanates from Nandan Nandan, Yashoda Nandan Krishnan in Golok Vrindavan. He is the main source. As Brahmaji says in the first verse of the Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchita Ananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the cause of all causes. So therefore, we have to understand that even if we come to this material world, we have all these different relationships. We have the relationship of neutrality, like we have neighbors, but we have a neutral relationship. We don't go to their house. They don't come to our house. We don't serve them and they don't serve us. We just meet them from far. Sometimes when we are cutting the grass and we say, hi, John, hi, Mary. Oh, today is a nice sunny day, eh? And they're happy. We are happy just seeing each other, looking at it, and we're happy. So that's the example of the yogis. When the yogis in a neutral relationship, they just get the darshan of Paramatma within their hearts. And when they are perfected, they're happy and they see the darshan of Lord, the Shirodaksha Vishnu or Paramatma in the hearts of everyone. That is a neutral relationship. Then the next relationship is that of Dasya Rasa. And we have that in this material world because it is there in the spiritual world. This material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual sky. Because everything exists there, the perverted reflection exists here. Just like if I put my hand against the wall, this hand as the real object, and in back, you will see a shadow. If the hand is not there, then there will be no shadow. So similarly, this rasas of Shantras, Dasya ras meaning the ras of servitorship. We have this in our material world. We are working for somebody in the office. Somebody is our boss. Or we may have our own business. The customer is the boss. And servitorship is there that Dasya Ras is naturally there, whether one is Krishna conscious or not Krishna conscious. It exists, but it exists in a perverted way. Then we have the relationship of the Sakya Rasa. The Sakya Rasa is the rasa or the relationship that is of friendship. And I need not elaborate that. We have so many different friends, school friends, college friends, uh, we have friends at work, etc. We have so many different friends that we kind of form those relationships in our life. So that is called Sakyaras. And in the material world, the Sakyaras is also perverted. Our friend is our best friend until he is ready to give us that sense gratification. The moment he stops giving us sense gratification, then we do not call him our best friend. He says, oh, don't even take his name. I don't want to hear his name. That's how we sometimes talk about that so-called best friend that we were so proud of when we introduced. So these sakha, the sakya relationship also exists in the spiritual world. Then we also have the vatsalya rasa, or the rasa of parenthood. This parenthood rasa, or this relationship, is there in this material world. We all have parents. We all have loving uncles, aunties, or those caring figures, the elderly people who treat us like our kids. And we also very lovingly call them uncle, auntie, although they may not be blood related to us. So that relationship is there. It's called vatsalya rasa, but it is in a perverted form. And I need not elaborate. Those relationships break immediately the moment when we do not give sense gratification to each other. But in the spiritual world, these relationships are permanent because their only goal is to give happiness to Sri Krishna. And Krishna's only goal is to give happiness to them. And that naturally comes as due to that relationship. As Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam satathaiva bhajamiham. And Krishna has reciprocated with them to the fullest. As a matter of fact, that verse fails when it comes to the gopis of Vrindavan and when it comes to Radharani, which is a subject of another day, because Krishna cannot even reciprocate with them. Krishna mentions in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukdev Goswami mentions that, I cannot repay you, O gopis. I cannot repay you, O Radharani. Let your own glories be your compensation. So the glories of Radharani, and that is the reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. Yadi Gaurang na hoito, tabe ki hoito, kemone dharitam de. Radhara Mahima, Prema Rasa Sima, Jagat Janat Ke. If Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not appear, Radhi Gaurang na hoito, tabe ki hoito, what would have happened? Radharam Mahima, the glories of Radharani, Jagat Janatake, Prema Rasa Sima, the crescendo or the zenith of Krishna Prem, how would the world have known? Yadi Gaurang na hoito, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not appear, if he did not manifest himself, if Krishna did not take the Audharya avatar of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Audharya means most munificent, more munificent than any other avatars, more munificent even Vrajendra Nandan, Nandanandan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have to understand all these relations. And then, of course, the fifth relationship known as the Madhurya Rasa. The Madhurya Rasa, we have that in a perverted way, boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, the lover and the beloved. Those relationships are there. But again, those have also a very perverted way, because it is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world, because everything is based on our personal sense gratification. The moment we stop giving the pleasure or sense gratification to the girlfriend or to the wife, then immediately after some time, divorces take place. And we see that it's so prominent in the West, and now it is happening, and parents are encouraging that in India. Oh, your husband told you this? You should not be listening to this nonsense. Come home, Betty. Come home, my dear daughter. Tolerance is not taught. All these Vedic principles are not taught. Obviously, I'm not propagating any kind of abuse here, but the point is that in the Golok Vrindavan, or in the spiritual realm, that Madhurya Rasa is not dependent on how Krishna treats them. And that is evidence in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sistastakam. Last verse. Ashlishya padaratam pinastumam. Adarshanam marma harto karotuva. Yatha tatha vidato lampato mat prana nathas sa evana para. Whether you kick us or you embrace us, my dear Krishna, you are our pranath, you are our life and soul. This is considered the highest mode of Sharanagati. We talk about shelter, we talk about surrender, but nobody has understood surrender as well as the gopis of Vrindavan, as well as our acharyas like Srila Prabhupada, because they are none other in their Nitya Lila Pravishta. We say that, don't we? When we say the Jai Dhwani, what do we say? Nitya Lila Pravishtom Vishnupat Paramansa Parivajakacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishtom Vishnupat Paramansa Parivajakacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad is Divine Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So what does Nitya Lila Pravishta Om mean? Nitya Lila means one, that Acharya who has entered into the eternal pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And all our Gaudiya Acharyas are personal servitors of Srimati Radharani, known as the Manjaris, or they are known as the Prana Sakhis of Radharani. And that is the reason they understand the bhav of Radharani. They understand that bhav, that whether Krishna, whether you kick us or embrace us. Krishna left Vrindavan when he was only 11 or 12 years old. The gopis in separation, they lived. Krishna performed his pastimes for 125 years. He lived about a good 10 years in Mathura, and then he moved everybody to Dwarka. He almost performed his Dwarka Leela for 100 years. For 100 years, he performed that Dwarka Leela, leaving the Vrajvasis in separation. So that is the mood of Mahaprabhu, that is the mood of Radharani, and that is our mood in our Gaudiya Sampradaya. Service and separation, even when our Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, or any of the Vaishnavas that we care for, they're not present. They're always there through their Vani. Look, let's examine very quickly the Pranam Mantra of Gaur Kishordas Babaji Maharaj. What is that? Nama Gaur Kishoraya, Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye, Vipralambar Sambode Padam Bhujayate Nama. Srila Gaur Kishordas Babaji Maharaj was always engrossed in the separation of Radharani and Krishna. In Navadvip, always chanting secluded places. Vipralamba Rasambudhi. He was in the bhav of Vipralamba. And Rasambudhi, Ambudhi means ocean. He was full of that nectar of that Gaudiya Rasa. So that is our actual eventual goal. Once we graduate through the sadhana bhakti, Srila Prabhupada will be so pleased. It is just like sometimes if a person or if a child or a student keeps failing the same class in the 8th grade, parents will say, grandfather will say, Baba, I hope you pass this year. You are in the same grade for the last couple of years. So similarly, our acharyas are waiting to give us this wonderful Raganuga Bhakti once we become very pakka, once we become firm in our sadhana bhakti and we advance. And that advancement is not just sadhana bhakti, avoiding Vaishnava aparad. Then we will leaps and bounds. We will grow. Immensely we will grow. That envy, that kutaniti, all the different aparads and the anarthas that are there, that anartha nivritti, that is one of the ado shraddha, sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya, anartha nivritti. That is the stage, that stage. But unfortunately, we are not going into that anartha nivritti stage. We cannot eradicate. It is like an anchor that has been dropped in the ocean. And the boat we are trying to row, it is not moving much. For the last 20 years, 30 years, 35 years, we are hearing the same, different, same old, which is nice as long as it is Harikatha. But why is there no advancement? Why aren't we graduating from Kanishta to Madhyam? And even from Kanishta to Kanishta Madhyam, Kanishta Uttam, from Kanishta Madhyam to Madhyam and Madhyam Uttam. Why can't we serve Srila Prabhupada's movement? Mahaprabhu has instructed, Prabhupada said, you all become gurus and we can all make this movement more and more glorious. So we should make Srila Prabhupada proud by advancing and being true Rupanugas, followers of Rupa Goswami. So this Kartik month, we will dive deep into the Damodara Ashtakam and we will continue this next time. It is 8:30 and I will actually enter into the Damodar Leela on next Sunday. Those who are interested, please come and relish the explanations of our acharyas. And I hope by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. And the words that I've spoken today, whatever little I know, have been pleasing to our acharyas, especially Srila Prabhupada, to our GBC members, and of course the His Holiness Bhakti Marg Swami and the senior Vaishnavas and all the Vaishnavas present who have attended this today's ISKCON Niagara launch. I thank each one of you on behalf of the Bhakti Vedanta Bhagavad group and the ISKCON Niagara Falls. Thank you for coming.